that record button for us. Okay, so the purpose of this training is specifically for faculty co-op advisors to kind of show you the new Smartsheet system, make sure you feel comfortable working in it. You're gonna notice it's real similar to the previous system they're used to. It's more of a facelift than anything else, but there are a couple of small nuances that have changed. So I'm going to go ahead and go over those so that you can see them. I am going to start by sharing my screen. This one. So I have previously gone through some of the initial application stuff so that we are starting with the faculty co-op advisor email, which is here. You're going to notice immediately that one thing that is different is the student's name is now in the subject line of every single one of the emails you'll receive. So instead of just being the same static subject line every single time, it'll be easier, hopefully, to search for the student you're looking for and to pull that up easier, recognize that email. And then apart from that, it's basically the same. So you start off with, hey, the student is enrolling in the course, it's time to review their application. And then we have the same basic information, actually I think a little more information than we had previously been able to give you. So we have student information, job information, and the learning objectives the student has written. Then we have a short guide on how to fill out the form I'm about to show you. So if you have questions further down the line, you're able to easily reference this and hopefully get your question answered. But if not, then we also have Margot's information for you to reach out to if you do have questions. And from there, you just click Open Update Form, and you'll see the new form. So the email basically is at the start of this form. So again, you'll have a quick and easy reference to all the basic information you should need as part of evaluating. I will say, if you guys figure out partway through that there's a piece of information you need that's not on here, just let Margot or I know. We can make an addition probably to get it added. It might not be till the next semester, depending on what the ask is, but we're definitely happy to have conversations around that. And then you're going to see basically the same questions you've had forever. Do you approve the student to enroll in the co-op course? Yes or no? Have you reviewed the position title and duties for this course? Yes or no? Is the job related to the student's discipline? So you're going to see just a whole bunch of yes, no questions. Should be pretty straightforward on this regard. I will say two things you might have noticed as changing from the previous system to this one on this form. Number one is some of the wording of the questions. That is 100% because of a limitation on Smartsheet around characters. So in the additional form that we have created for you, and here, let me pull that up real quick. You're going to see that the question is written out in more detail should you be confused by what the question is really wanting you to answer. So have you reviewed, the question is confirming you've read over the information provided about the student's co-op and internship. Is it related to the field of study? Is this related to the student's major discipline? Typically, this is interpreted liberally for undergrads and more narrowly for grads. So it has a little extra additional information if you are confused or have extra questions there. The second thing that has changed from the previous system is you're going to notice that some of these questions were previously only asked for international students. Now they're being asked for both domestic and international students. The main reason behind that is because Smartsheet didn't have a way for us to use logic in this scenario for us to say only show if it's an international student. But we decided to go ahead and keep it for all students as well, because they're all things you guys are doing for all students. We just had to specifically ask it with international students. Now we're just asking it for all students, just as an extra layer of protection, if you will. The same three basic questions. I've discussed this, the learning objectives with the students. The student knows who to contact if they have any questions or concerns. I've asked the student if they have any questions. So abbreviated because of the character limit, but the same basic concepts that were there before. And again, they're expanded on in the co-op guide here that I created for you all. The other two things that are slightly different is the decline reason. I don't believe this was in the previous one. So do you approve the student to enroll in co-op? Let's say you said no. This is where you would say why you said no, is in the decline reason. This is not a required question unless you submit no, because at that point, an automated email will go to the student saying, hey, your co-op application was rejected by your co-op faculty advisor. Here's why they rejected it. So this information is going to go directly to the student in addition to Margot. So you're going to want to make sure that you put in something here to help the student understand what was going on. And so Margot can start to field any questions that might come her way, ask follow-ups if we need better documentation for later, whatever it might be. And then one really nice detail from Smartsheet is on absolutely every single one of these forms, you can click send me a copy of my responses. And that's just going to email you exactly what you put in the form. So you don't have to go, oh, what did I say again? What was the reason I gave for this decline? Whatever it might be. You can use it or not use it based on your preferences, but I wanted to make sure you guys were aware that that is an option available to you at all times there. Questions on the form itself?
Looks pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's basically what you guys have already been doing. I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of it and had seen it and didn't feel like you were getting blindsided by the small changes that existed. I'll say one other thing that has changed at the graduate student level specifically. Previously in the system, graduate students would submit their form, we'd gather the information, Margot would check that they have the most basic college level eligibility requirements met, excuse me. Then it would go to the co-op faculty advisor, you guys, for an approval. Then it would go to their major advisor for an approval. Then it would go to department head. We have decided to stream that a little bit, so it is now going to both the co-op faculty advisor and the major advisor simultaneously. There wasn't a need to really have that delay between your approvals, so we went ahead and made that a simultaneous change. So that should be most of what you need to know on this form. And then the only other, again, small change that I wanted to make sure you guys knew about was the faculty grade report. So as you know, at the end of the semester, you will receive an email from Margot traditionally that says, hey, here's the student's faculty grade report. And it's basically some basic student information, the employer evaluation of that student's work experience, and then the student's evaluation of that work experience called the student work report. Traditionally, that's just been a bunch of links to individual students' accumulated information. Smartsheet doesn't allow us to do links, so instead it's going to be just this kind of filled in PDF form with it's all the same information. Again, a couple questions have been reworded due to character limits, but it is all the same information you've always received in this form. So it's not really any significant change. It's more of a facelift than anything else. But if at any point you're looking at this in the future and you have questions and it's not clear, let us know and we'll clarify where we can and look at making changes if you're not the only one who's unclear on what's going on there. But I think those are go ahead, Margot.
I'm sorry. Also on the application form, you were going to address the tech elective credit for ELEG and INEG.
Yes. So those are the changes in terms of the basic forms that you guys would be filling out and looking at for assigning grades and approving enrollment in the course. The other thing I wanted to point out, and this is actually specific to Tish and Robert. So let's say industrial engineering, since you're the one on the call. Industrial engineering, this is the student co-op application. So this is what the student is submitting to begin the entire process. And for electrical engineering and industrial engineering, there's a couple of additional little paragraphs here that show up basically saying, hey, are you interested in tech elective credit? If so, here's some information you need to know about getting tech elective credit for our department. This information is unfortunately available now for both undergrads and grad students. There isn't a way for me to say undergrad only on the form logic that's available through Smartsheet. So I just wanted to let you know that graduate students are going to see this option for technical elective credit. They might say yes, they might say no, but I'm not saying they have access to tech elective credit. It's just the form won't let me change that up between undergrad and grad, only between major. So just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that as well.
Well, Kelsey, if you can create the question, can't you say, if you're an undergrad, do you wish to receive technical credit?
Yep, that's a really clear workaround. Good idea.
You could have you could have an NA response for grad students if you need the response. Does every field have to be filled in to complete the form?
Yeah, so this one is not a required question, actually, no. I can make it required, though, and add that NA option, say, like, not applicable grad student next to it. And that should fix that up.
Well, I guess that question's always existed, but to me, it doesn't make any difference. Whether they want technical elective credit or not, they're gonna get it if they get 3 of them. So
Absolutely.
what's the reason for, is it just to inform? Because it doesn't make really sense to ask the question. We're not gonna
Yeah, I
ask
think it's just to inform. Like I said, the only departments that have this are you and electrical engineering. With electrical engineering, the information's different for you guys. With electrical engineering, they require an additional paper to be completed. So Robert wanted to make sure that that got added in the application process. So that's why this pops up for electrical. I think with you guys, you just were, and I'm not to put words in your mouth, but my understanding of the history of this being added for industrial engineering is that it was just to make sure the students were a little extra aware of it.
Nope. I didn't request it, I don't think, but maybe.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Tish. Can you say that again?
I said I didn't request it, but maybe somebody did in the long ago past. I thought there were other departments that gave tech elective credit.
There are lots of other departments that give tech elective credit. I can take this out for industrial if you don't really see a need for it.
I don't see a need for it.
Okay.
We don't have a need for it at the moment either. We don't have enough extra credits to,
Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely.
with the move to 120 credit hours for folks sooner or later, there'll be fewer and fewer alternatives or opportunities, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, but that's the process. I knew this was going to be a short meeting. I just wanted to be able to show you guys the facelift, show you the handful of small changes that had happened from when we were working on the old system to this new Smartsheet system. Right now, students are going to be able to apply for for enrollment in the co-op course again starting November 8th. And from there, we'll kind of move forward. So all emails that are related to this co-op going to you, the employer, other faculty members, whoever it might be, the student, will all say Margot Purdy via Smartsheet is who all of those are going to be from. And then we're going to be putting together some additional trainings for major advisors, department heads. So hopefully you guys won't get too many questions as you guys are filling out forms the most, but if so, you can always answer them on our behalf if you need to. So any questions, or I can give you 15 minutes back.
No, it looks good. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you all for joining.
Sure.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice rest of the day. Bye-bye.